Hey YouTube, Hickory Stick back with you again. Fred's Dollar Store cotton balls and all. Hang tight, we're going to talk about this situation. Why am I sitting here with a pack of cotton balls on the bench? I'm trying a new powder with the 4570. Picked up some Shooter's World Buffalo Rifle powder back in the spring, way back in April. And it is supposedly directly designed around old school big bore cartridges like the 4570, primarily 4570. It is for reduced loads. There's not a lot of load information out there for it. Shooter's World, it's made by Lovex. The load data that they've got on both the Shooter's World site and the Lovex site is minimal at best. There's only about 3 or 4 loads on each, and they're all for hard cast bullets. Now, I'm not shooting hard cast. I don't cast my own bullets, and I don't shoot hard cast bullets. I like to shoot jacketed bullets, as you can see. I found one load for jacketed bullets. That was for a 300 grain. I've got some 300 grains. Picked up a box of 300 grain Sierra Pro Hunters. I have those right here. I don't know if you can hear this or not on the video, but there's a crap ton of space in them because the starting charge is 30 grains of powder. Well, this powder, 30 grains of this stuff, comes to about right there in the case. There's a lot of empty case left. The starting charge was 30 grains. The max charge was 40 grains, it said, for this powder, for a 300 grain jacketed bullet. So I went with 30 grains, 33 grains, 36 grains, and 38 grains. So we're going to try those and see what they do. We're going to be shooting my Browning B78. I got to loading some 350 grain Hornady Interlocks, round noses. I've had them for a while sitting around. I wanted to give them a try with this new powder. There's not published data for 350 grain jacketed bullets. So I went with the data for 350 grain hard cast. Yes, I know, sue me. It's what I've got to work with. That gave me a starting charge of 24 grains for 350 grain hard cast. I'm going to go with a starting charge of 24 grains on these jacketed bullets. They're both 350 grains. It should be a safe load. It's all I got to work with. That's what I'm going to try. I'm doing a starting charge of 24. I'm bumping up to 26 grains, which is the next logical grain weight, because the starting charge for the 350s are 24, and the max charge is 32, I believe. So we're going to go to 26 grains. But 24 grains of powder is the same thing. 24 grains of powder is like right there. Actually, I'm sorry. It's about right there in the cartridge. So there's that much freaking space open in the cartridge. So what I decided to do is use a little packing in the cartridges. Some people use packing in 4570 cartridges with smokeless powder. Now, you have to be careful. Everybody says you got to be careful. The most common packing that they use in it is polyfill. Well, I don't have any polyfill on hand, but I was able to grab a bag of cotton balls. Cotton balls are fine from the research I've done. There's nothing wrong with using cotton balls. Most people just don't use cotton balls because they have a chance of catching the woods on fire, because it's going to come out as a burning ball of cotton out the end of your barrel, and polyfill doesn't. But it's what I've got. So I'm going to use the cotton balls. I have tried some cotton ball packed loads before. Didn't have any problem with them. So we're going to give these a try. So I loaded up 5 24 grainers with the Buffalo Rifle powder without any cotton fill. And I'm loading some 24 grainers with cotton fill in between. Now, the research that I have done says you take your fill material, loosely pack it into your case. You don't want it packed down in there tight, you know, you don't want to ram it down in there like you would on a muzzleloader. You just want to take it and take the end of the head of a pencil and gently tap it into the case. I've already put some in this case, by the way. Y'all may not be able to see that. Gently tap it into the case until it is just in there a little firm. You want to fill the case with it just to where the bottom of the bullet would be, so that the bottom of the bullet sits on top of your fill material but does not compress it real hard. But you don't want any airspace between your bullet and your fill material. You come out with something looking like this. Once you've got that done, you seat your bullet as normal. Now I'm seating these to the cantilever. Always nice to have a handy cantilever. And I'm giving them a crimp, because I always give them a crimp. I've got 10 rounds of 26 grain loaded up. And the first 5 rounds of 26 grain, we're going to use no packing material. It's going to be straight bullet. The 26 don't come up no higher than, in the case, than the 24. This always does seem to be the case with 4570. The 4570 is such a big freaking case that you're not going to get complete case fill with most powders. You're not going to get close to complete case fill with most powders. The only one that I know of that you're going to get complete case fill with it is Trail Boss, because Trail Boss is so bulky. So you're always running into this issue. Now, there is some argument that I have found between shooters of the 4570, and there are 2 camps. One camp says that a filler material helps. The other camp says filler material does nothing. Also, within the camp that says filler material does nothing is a sub-camp of people that say filler material is harmful. You can ring your barrel with a ring of burnt and basically solidified filler material if you ain't paying attention. We're going to pay attention though. And this is just a test. We're going to have to watch closely for pressure signs when we do this. These are minimal loads, so I don't expect to see any pressure issues out of this since they are minimal loads. But we don't know what's going to happen. The last time I used the polyfill, I did not see any loads, any pressure sign problems. We are using, in this case, this time we're using Winchester large rifle primers instead of CCIs. I decided to go with Winchesters, basically because they match my nice, pretty new Starline cases. So that brings another point up that these are brand new cases. These are never fired cases. Brand new Starlines. The primer pockets are nice and tight. So if we see pressure signs with our loads, then we'll know immediately, and we won't be able to blame it on loose primer pockets or anything like that. I'm going to finish packing the rest of these. We'll see you on the range. Okay, range time. First time we shot the 4570 in a while. I may be a little rusty with this gun, but we're going to go ahead and give it a try. One thing about this Caldwell Chrono, and it may be my phone, I don't know, but it is a little bit aggravating to get it to connect via the Bluetooth. Most of the time I have to go into the settings and turn the Bluetooth off, and then in the Chrono app settings, not my phone, but I have to go into the Chrono app settings, turn the Bluetooth enabled off, and then turn it back on to get it to connect. I don't know why, but it's a little bit aggravating. All right, this first set we're going to shoot is our Sierra Pro Hunters. We've never chronoed this gun before, so it's going to be interesting. That was 1,300 feet per second. Of course, no signs of pressure. Lot of unburnt powder. Considerable amount of unburnt powder. All right. Okay, so y'all excuse the pitifulness of my writing. My pen did not work out well like I thought it was going to on my camera. But not a good group here, 3.241 group. I was messing with my bench rest and all that, getting set up. So not a good group at all out of the gun. And a pretty bad standard deviation as well. So, you know, not too good. That was not a good group at all. We had an average velocity of 1299 and a lot of unburnt powder in the barrel. Barrel's good and cool though. We're going to go to the next group. Well, that was better. All right, this group's looking better. I've got a good hold on the gun now. I had to adjust my positioning of my rest and all because I set it up originally like I normally shoot the 30-06 and the 22-250. And that first group, I just could not get a good grip and hold on the gun, so I've had to adjust and move back some, so it's a lot better now. Okay, this group was a little better, if you want to call it better. It's 2.053 inches. Still a terrible group. It's over 2 inches, but I mean it's better. Terrible standard deviation, 29.29 standard deviation. So terrible standard deviation, not much better group, but an improvement from the last one. These are a little hotter. That's better. Still no signs of pressure. These are a smooth shooting and light recoil, which is what they're advertised to be. They just leave a horrendous amount of trash in the barrel. There we go. So this group wasn't any better. The standard deviation is terrible, but the standard deviation is thrown off because we had one outlier that was 1,640 feet per second, the second shot. The rest of them, the other four, were all in the mid 1500s, so I'm not sure if I threw the charge a little heavy or not. So that threw the standard deviation way off. Otherwise, it would have been pretty good, but the group size is still pretty bad. One thing's for sure, my little orange dots that I added to my target down there after last video, they have helped me tremendously with being able to see, especially through this 3 to 9 by 40 scope. I like those a lot better. This is a dirty powder. I don't like it. Honestly, I have not seen good enough results to warrant the filth. Still no pressure signs whatsoever. Chrono threw an error that time. There we go. Considerably better group here, 1.753. I have one flyer, or this would have been an outstanding group. Not a bad standard deviation, 22.85, but still not that good. But it was, however, the best group we shot with these bullets. So looks like we may have to drive these a little faster because this had the highest average, which was 1637 feet per second. So these may like to go a little bit faster. All right, we're moving on to our Hornady 350 grain. Whoa. That was extremely low, and that hit at the target below it. Same thing. See, we ain't even supersonic. Well, they shot a good group. They were just about 10 inches too low. You know, it shot a decent group. All of them were subsonic, but it shot a decent group. Very low charge on this. I was trying to be safe with it, and apparently I was way over conservative with it. It's extremely low. Had a decent standard deviation, 15.73, but in a much better group than the rest of them we've seen, but very extremely low velocities. One of them didn't even break 1,000. Okay, this next group here, I'm going to shoot over at the right hand target. The previous group hit directly at the target below it, and hopefully this group will hit the target below it. This group is the same powder charge except with a cotton packing material, so it should be a perfectly safe charge. No pressure signs. I'm sure you all saw that wild wad of cotton come out the end of it. So already I can tell you that we have gained velocity and we have gained point of impact. Our point of impact has shifted up about 2 inches. It has not appeared to have helped the powder burn any, as I'm still getting a bunch of crap in the barrel, a bunch of unburnt powder in the barrel. Okay, so we learned quite a bit on this group. First of all, it gives you a roughly 100 feet per second increase over not having packing material, which shifts your point of impact up a good 2, or it did for us about a good 2 inches. Now our group size was 1.498. I know you can't see it really well. There's a glare here when I took the picture. Slightly larger group than the last time, but still we got a better point of impact, we got better velocity, and we got better standard deviation. Our standard deviation was 11.23 as opposed to the 15.73 last time. So we got some good increases here, even though we did not get any increase in group. Yeah, that's more better. We still got a bunch of unburnt powder. No pressure sign. These do not have packing in them. This was a very basic group. It had a 2.253 inch spread on it. Ignore that one at the very bottom, that does not belong to this group. But it's just, not too good of a group. Standard deviation was 21.53, which is important. Remember that for the next one. We've got left our top charge with cotton packing. I am confident enough in the change of impact shift that I have seen, and in the change of impact shift that we saw with the previous load with packing in it, that I'm going to go ahead and shoot at one of the bottom targets. Oh, 1190. Well, that's a nice improvement. Still crud all in the barrel. These are absolutely exhibiting no pressure signs. I see no evidence of ringing in the barrel anywhere. Okay. This group was pitiful, and I don't know why. It was like a 3.249 inch group. I don't know why it was so terrible grouping wise, but the interesting thing about it is we gained, just like in the last group with packing material, we gained roughly 80 to 100 feet per second on every shot, and also our standard deviation went down by 6. Our standard deviation on the last group with 26 grain was 21.53. Now on this group with the packing, it was 14.62. So we lost roughly 6 or 7 on our standard deviation, which is the same thing we saw in the last group with packing, the 24 grain with packing over the 24 grain without packing. So I think we're on to something here with the packing that we're going to need to investigate further. The results are in, and it just ain't good. You know, I mean, we didn't shoot terrible groups. Yeah, this one was pretty bad, but this one I was still messing around with getting the gun situated and figuring the grip out on the gun. Once I figured the grip out, it wasn't horrible, all except for this last one down here. I'm not sure what went on with that one. It just, I don't know if it didn't like that load or what, because I was shooting exactly the same as I were on these others. The groups are in the vicinity of 2 inches, most of them, with the exception of this one, which is a 1.2 group, 2-3 inches. I think I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but I think that's the best group we've ever shot with the gun. That was with the 26 grains. I don't like the powder, though. I do not like this powder at all. I don't know if maybe it just is not good for these light bullets, but it is filthy. Piles of unburnt powder left in the bore. I mean, it was so bad after every shot, I had to go back, take a piece of grass, and whisk the powder out of the chamber just so I could put another round in it. It's just terrible, horrible unburnt powder. So maybe it needs a heavier bullet. I don't know. The problem is, Lovix, their load data is pitiful. And I've got 2 Shooters World powders, and their load data for them is pitiful. They, like the Buffalo rifle, they've got like 3 or 4 loads is all they've tested for it. It's all the published data they have, and I think all but one of those is hard cast lead. I mean, these were all jacketed bullets, so I was trying to interpolate the load data. Maybe it needs a heavier bullet. Maybe the jacketed bullets, it just needs a heavier bullet to where it'll burn the powder better. But the powder burned no better in the ones with packing in them than it did in the ones that didn't have packing in them. It burned no better with the 350 grain bullets than it did with the 300 grain bullets. So, I don't know. Maybe a 450 grainer, maybe a 500 grain bullet. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. So I'm going to abandon this powder for now, because I don't, it's filthy and it's hard to, I mean, I don't want to have to clean the bore every time. I'm going to abandon this for now. But what we're not going to go away from is we're not going to go away from testing the packing material. The reason being is, if you look at group 5 down here, then group 5, remember, was about 8 inches low, or 6 inches low, because group 5 we were aiming here and it shot way down here. So it was low. But if you look at it, it had a standard deviation of 15.73. Same load, 24 grains. Same load with packing material in it, dropped to a standard deviation of 11.23. Now you may say that's a fluke, but if you look over at group 7, standard deviation was 21.53 with a 26 grains with no packing. Go down to group 8, same load, 26 grains, standard deviation dropped to 14.62. Besides standard deviation, our average velocity, we got an increase of almost 100 feet per second average velocity when we were using packing versus when we were not using packing. So we're going to keep playing with this packing idea. I know if you look on the forums and all, a lot of people say it doesn't do anything. But there's seems to be just about as many people that say, yeah, it does do good. So we're going to keep playing with it and see what it does for us. That's where we're going to go from here. We're going to continue testing the 300 grain Sierra Pro Hunters. We're going to continue testing the 350 grain Hornady Interlocks. We're probably going to test those. I've got a couple other powders on hand that we're going to test those with. We're going to keep testing those until we run out of them, because to be quite frank with you, it's the 4.58 caliber bullets are expensive. So we're not going to buy a whole bunch of those at one time. We're going to keep testing the ones we have until we run out, and then we'll move on to something else. Next time we're probably going to move on to a little heavier. But we're going to continue some testing with those two bullets that we've got with some different powders that I've got. I'm going to try to pick up some other powder in the next couple of weeks too that we can test them with. I've been trying to get some Reloader 15, and Sportsman's Warehouse has been out of it for, I don't know, a month now. So I'm waiting on them to get some more in. So I'm going to pick some of that up, and we'll try that later. But that's where we're going to go from here. We didn't have a lot of really good groups, but we learned a lot today. That's where we're going from here. I want to start doing some loads with my H&R Buffalo Classic. Now, the different barrel length, the Buffalo Classic has a 32-inch barrel versus a 26-inch barrel that this one has. Maybe the 32-inch barrel will make a difference with this Buffalo rifle powder. Maybe it'll burn better. The bullet stays in the barrel longer. I don't know. We're going to have to try it. But my scope died on my Buffalo Classic, so I'm going to have to get a new scope for that before I can go back to testing. But we'll try it. We're going to give it a try. I mean, I've got a whole pound of this powder, and I don't just want it to sit there. So we're going to do some more testing with it. But for now, in this gun, we're going to abandon it. I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, y'all have a good one.